Vocabulary Memoriser, a free service from Britlish. Are you frustrated at not being able to remember new vocabulary? You're not alone. One of the biggest problems faced by anyone learning a new language is the memorization of new vocabulary. One of the questions that I'm most often asked by students is, do you have any advice on how to remember new vocabulary? This got me thinking, and I decided to do something to help not only my students, but anyone who wants a foolproof way of memorizing new vocabulary. What I came up with is what I call the Britlish Vocabulary Memoriser. It's free to use for all Britlishers. In this presentation, I'm going to show you how it works and how it can help you. I built it to work on any device that has internet access, from a mobile phone to a desktop computer. All your data is stored on the Britlish server, so using the app won't take up any valuable space on your system memory. But I hope you'll fill your memory with new vocabulary. Let's see how it works, shall we? The first thing you need to do is add vocabulary to your vocabulary list. Write your word or phrase in the box. Then click the Add Vocabulary button. As soon as you add your vocabulary item, in this case the word vocabulary, you'll be taken to your vocabulary list. Notice that the definitions and examples of usage buttons are coloured grey, and the vocabulary item is yellow. To test yourself on your vocabulary, you need to add a definition to each vocabulary item. Click on the Definitions button to show the Add Definitions button. Click the Add Definitions button to continue. A new screen will open with a mini word processor to allow you to enter a definition for your vocabulary item. You can format your definition any way you want using the formatting menu, just as you would on a word processor. Notice that you can click on the yellow dictionary link at the top of the page and the dictionary entry, if any, will open for your vocabulary item. Then click the Add Definition button to add the definition to your vocabulary item. To help you write your definitions, I've created a comprehensive dictionary. You'll see that your vocabulary item is already selected in the search box. You can, of course, search for any other vocabulary using the search button. The dictionary is also available to you on most pages of the Britlish Library, including on all lessons. Here you can see that I've copied a definition from the dictionary and pasted it into the definition box. I've retained the italic and bold formatting of the dictionary entry to help me later. I could also add my own words if I wanted to. All that remains is to click the Add Definition button and add the definition to the vocabulary item in my personal vocabulary list. After adding the definition, I'm taken back to the vocabulary list page. This page shows me that the vocabulary item is now unmastered because the heading is red, not yellow as before. Notice that the Definitions button is now green because we've added definitions. The Examples of Usage button is still grey because we haven't added any examples of usage. Let's do that now, shall we? Let's click the Add Example button, and we'll come back to this page in a moment. Just as we did for the definition, we can now add an example of usage if we wish. You do not need to add examples of usage to test your memory of your vocabulary items. You can add any notes that you feel will help you in the text box. Click the Add Example button to add it to your vocabulary item. Notice that the vocabulary item is shown in red because this vocabulary item isn't yet marked as mastered. Mastered items will show in green. Now that we've added an example of usage, we find ourselves back on the vocabulary list page. We can see that the vocabulary item is still red because we haven't mastered it yet. The definitions button and the examples of usage buttons are now both green to show us that we have added information to both. If we click on either button, we can see the definitions and examples of usage. Notice that the time and date you add the information is recorded for your future reference. The whole point of this system is to help you remember new vocabulary. Part of the process of memorizing the new vocabulary is repetition and regular testing of your memory. I've added a few more vocabulary items to my list and have given all of them definitions. You can see that the vocabulary list tells you how many vocabulary items you have. It also tells you how many are unmastered. Let's see how the magic works by clicking on a head word. When you click on a head word, in this case vocabulary, you're presented with a simple flashcard. In this case, the flashcard is red because we haven't marked the vocabulary item as mastered yet. Now you need to try and remember what the vocabulary item means. Check your memory by clicking the definition button. The flashcard will now show you the definition for the vocabulary item you chose. If you're satisfied that you did remember the definition correctly, you can click the thumbs up button. This will mark the vocabulary item as mastered on your vocabulary list. If you think you need more practice, you can click the thumbs down button and the vocabulary item will be marked as unmastered. Let's see what happens when we mark the vocabulary item as mastered. Great! We've now marked one of our vocabulary items as mastered. The head word is now shown as green because it's mastered. Your vocabulary list now shows that you still have 3 vocabulary items in your list, but now only 2 of them are unmastered. You can click on the red Unmastered button or the green Mastered button to see only unmastered or mastered words. By default, the vocabulary is shown with the newest first, but you can click the alphabetical list button to see them ordered alphabetically. The vocabulary is now shown in alphabetical order, but you can click the chronological button to see them ordered by newest item first again. You can also see just the definitions or just the examples if you prefer. The vocabulary can be shown by definitions only, both in alphabetical or chronological order depending on your preference. You can also see your vocabulary by examples of usage, again displayed both alphabetically or chronologically. If you decide that you haven't mastered a vocabulary item that you marked as mastered, you can revisit it and mark it as unmastered. It will then be added back to your unmastered word list so that you can remind yourself to test yourself on the vocabulary later. Now that you have all of your new vocabulary items in one place, you'll always be able to find them. As you can see which of your vocabulary items you need to work on, you'll be able to regularly revisit your vocabulary list to revise. You'll also be motivated to add more vocabulary as your list grows. Seeing just how many vocabulary items you have mastered is a real incentive to the learning process. As I said before, this service is free for Britlishers and a Britlish account is free for everyone. I look forward to seeing you expanding your vocabulary quickly and efficiently at Britlish.